Hey there fellow gamers and cocktail enthusiasts, Ben here, and welcome back to another Castles and Cocktails recipe video. So I just recently finished my playthrough of The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons for the very first time. Despite being a huge Zelda fan, I never really got around to a lot of the handheld games, and thanks to the library on the Nintendo Switch, I was finally able to get around to playing it. And I gotta be honest, it's definitely not the best entry in the series. While it is certainly very fun and innovative in certain ways, it's also a royal pain in the ass in a lot of others. So I'm very happy to be done with it. But with that in mind, I did want to create a cocktail that was, much like the game, came in different waves. So this is going to be a layered cocktail for the Rod of Seasons. So this drink has a lot of different ingredients, some of them very, very specific. First of these to note is the Kettle One Peach and Orange Blossom Vodka. It's a botanical infused vodka. I really enjoy it. It's super good. Might not necessarily be the easiest thing to find though. Additionally, you're going to want some Midori, some barrel cask strength bourbon, some raspberry syrup, some blue curacao, and some limeade. Now you don't necessarily have to get an off-the-shelf one like this, but this certainly does help simplify an already kind of complicated process. Great thing about this cocktail is despite all the ingredients, you don't need a lot of equipment. So I have today a small sour glass. You can use really any kind of cordial glass, and if you do your math right, you could also just do this as a tall double shot, but I think a cordial works just fine. You're also going to want a general drinking glass. I would say a mixing glass, something more specific to your bar, but a glass like this is going to be a fairly standard, like 6 to 8 ounces, so this is kind of more what I'm thinking for this one. You're going to want a measuring device. I have my fairly usual angled measuring cup, and a bar spoon. That's it. Alright, so before we get into the pouring and layering and measuring, we do need to prep one of our first layers. So I played a lot with the idea of doing different ingredients representing the different seasons. I went through ideas of mint for winter, and like what flavors do I think of for each season. But then I remembered in game there are very, very distinct colors every time you change the season. The little indication comes up in the upper left-hand screen and gives you a color. Red for summer, yellow or gold for autumn or fall, blue for winter, and green for spring. So those are the colors that I went with. Now granted, because we're layering this, I can't actually layer them in order of season. Just didn't happen to work out that way, but I hope you guys enjoy this regardless. So in your regular, 8-ounce drinking glass, you want to just fill that up with your limeade. To that, we're adding 2 bar spoons worth of blue curacao. This is strictly just for coloring. It's not going to affect a ton of flavor. I'm just looking for that nice bright sort of almost kind of a sky blue, not as blue as the pure blue curacao. And this is to represent our winter. Okay, so with this prepped, we can go ahead and get started on our drink. So we're starting things out with 2 bar spoons worth of raspberry syrup. Now you can buy pre-bottled stuff like this I've got from Tirani, or you can just make some of your own, doesn't really matter. Next up, we are measuring out 1 ounce of our lemonade mix, or limeade mix, I should say. As always, I have the metric conversions in the description box below for my friends overseas. Pouring that over the back of the bar spoon rather, to break that tension and get that drink to start layering. Next up, this is why I find that the angled measuring cup is really good for weird drinks like this. We're going to start with 1/2 ounce of the botanical vodka, and to that we're topping it off with 1/4 ounce of Midori. That just mixes perfectly right in the little cup for us. And layer that on top. You want to make sure that you're just doing a straight pour for all of these and not chilling them. If you mix any of these with ice, it will screw up the ability to layer this properly. And finally, we're going to finish this off with half an ounce of our cask strength bourbon. Once again, here we have the Rod of the Seasons. You get a really nice layer with all of these ingredients. Red at the bottom, bit of blue, bit of that green, and that little touch of the gold right on top. Might not be as brightly colored as the game with all of its pastel tones, but I feel like this works just fine. Now, while it is totally possible to down this like a shot, given the volume of liquid, I don't recommend it. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Strong nose of the bourbon on the front. Whew. Oh, that's got a lot of layers, a lot of weird flavors all at once. The bourbon really kicks you, but you get a quick, the orange of that botanical, that peach orange flavor you get out of the vodka, plus the Midori, really comes through almost immediately after that burn. Like any layered drink, it's going to change a little bit as you drink it. A little further down, you start getting hints of the limeade. It starts to mellow out a little bit more. What starts as really strong punch in your face with the alcohol leans to being a little bit more sour the further down you go. Nearly at the bottom, it's mostly just the lighter alcohols plus the limeade, and you're getting a little bit of the syrup. And the last big gulp is just a nice sweet rounding out of raspberry. Much like the game itself, this drink has its ups and downs, kicks you in the teeth in some areas, while still at the end, kind of a little bit of a sweet finish. Probably not my best cocktail, but to represent the game, as well as the item, the Rod of the Seasons, in the game, I think that's pretty solid. Plus, as a result of this, once you finish that, especially if you did it as a shot, now you've got a blue lemonade chaser. Limeade chaser. Which, after just downing that in a couple minutes, this is quite refreshing. Considering you spend a lot more time in the game in winter than any other point in the game, makes sense that you have a little bit extra of that. So this is the Rod of the Seasons cocktail. If you guys enjoyed this or want to make this for yourself or have played Oracle of Seasons, suddenly can't think, all that alcohol now. I probably drank that a little too fast. Overall, fair game. Not the best Zelda game in the franchise, but hey, it works. At some point I will end up playing Oracle of Seasons, probably not for a while, and getting a good palate cleanser, playing the new Mario RPG in the meantime. But if you enjoyed this, be sure to hit that like button. Let me know your thoughts and comments if you happen to make this cocktail for yourself or have played Oracle of Seasons, and maybe you could give me a few pointers going into ages. That's going to be it for today, though. So thanks, guys, for watching. Keep on gaming, drink responsibly, and I will see you guys next time.